So this is the OnePlus 15R. This is the phone a lot of people wait for every year. Not the full-blown flagship, not the one that cuts too many corners either. And after using this alongside the OnePlus 13R and the OnePlus 13S, I think I finally understand what OnePlus is trying to do with the 15R. Now, before we get into the actual phone, I did not know the price of the OnePlus 15R while recording this. Early rumors suggested that it could start at 49,999. Whether that turns out to be right or completely off, my editor will put the final price on screen in. Alright, with that context out of the way, let's talk about the reasons why you might want to skip the OnePlus 15R first. If you've seen the OnePlus 13R or the 12R before that, the 15R isn't going to surprise you much. The flat frame, the glass back, the camera layout, all of it feels very familiar. That's not a bad thing in isolation, but in a market where brands are experimenting more with different textures, colors and form factor, 15R plays it very safe. You'll notice the polish, but you won't get that "what is this phone" reaction. It feels premium, yes, it just doesn't feel new. Second, there's the whole compact flagship temptation. After spending time with the OnePlus 13S, the 15R suddenly feels large. Not heavy or uncomfortable, just less intentional in the hand. The 13S feels like it was sculpted around one-handed use. The 15R feels like it was designed to please the majority. If you've been eyeing the 13S for its size and balance, the 15R doesn't replace that experience. Third, charging speed is good, but not the standout feature anymore. It took about 1 hour and 16 minutes to go from 0 to full. That's perfectly fine. It's just that OnePlus used to embarrass everybody else in this department, and now it's competitive, not dominant. And finally, there's the absence of a dedicated telephoto lens. This is where the spec sheet warriors will pause the video and say, wait, no telephoto at this price? You know, I get it. On paper, it looks like a downgrade compared to the 13R and even the 13S, but this one is more nuanced, and I'll explain why in the camera section. Now, let's talk about why the OnePlus 15R still makes a lot of sense. Now, performance, because this is a big upgrade over the 13R. The OnePlus 15R is built around performance stability, not peak numbers. The jump from Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 to Gen 5 is not subtle. AnTuTu scores jump massively, but more importantly, sustained performance is better. Whether it's app switching, heavy multitasking, or extended gaming sessions, this phone is tuned to stay smooth for long stretches. In BGMI, I was seeing around 159 FPS on average over 13 minutes with a peak temperature of about 41 degrees. And that's very controlled. Genshin Impact ran at a locked 120 FPS on average with temperatures staying just below 40 degrees, and the experience is very smooth. The 15R holds its own in real-world gaming while offering a bigger screen, better thermal comfort over longer sessions. Battery life fits this performance profile very nicely. You can push this phone through a workday with navigation, calls, social media, video streaming, and still not panic by evening. Lighter days stretch comfortably into the next one, and while charging isn't class leading anymore, it's reliable enough that you don't plan your day around a charger. Now, the display is where I noticed the upgrade almost immediately. On paper, the 13R actually had slightly better color accuracy. Its Delta E was around 0.8, which is excellent. The 15R comes in at 1.1, which is still very good, but numbers don't tell the whole story. Using them side by side, the 15R's panel feels more confident outdoors. Manual brightness tops out at 1320 nits and peak brightness hits around 3100 nits, and that is a big jump. I was comfortably reading messages in harsh sunlight where the 13R needed a bit of angle adjustment. Color coverage is also slightly better at 99.5%, and more importantly, it's consistent. No weird shifts, no overcooked reds. Watching HDR content, the 15R feels closer to the 13S than the 13R, and that is a compliment. Now onto the cameras. This is where the 15R quietly flexes. I shot the same scenes with all the three phones, same light, same framing, and in daylight and tricky HDR situations, especially backlit shots, the 15R was the most reliable. Group selfies with a bright sky in the background are a nightmare for most phones. The 15R 15R was the only one that consistently exposed faces properly while keeping the sky blue instead of blowing it out. The 13R leans into contrast. It looks dramatic, but you lose details in the shadows. The 13S does better, but still struggles a bit with aggressive backlighting. The 15R just balances it a bit better. Even without a dedicated telephoto lens, the 15R produced the most pleasing portraits. The background blur looked natural, not a cutout. Edge detection was cleaner than the 13S, which sometimes showed blooming around here in harsh sunlight. This is where processing and sensor quality clearly matter more than the hardware count. Now, zoom is where the 13S still wins. That 2x lens and its 4x hybrid zoom are genuinely useful if you shoot statues, buildings and distant subjects a lot. The 15R is excellent at 2x crops from its 50 megapixel sensor, but it doesn't pretend to be a zoom phone. Night mode is another win for the 15R. Neon signs stayed neon, green stayed green, highlights didn't turn into white blobs. The Christmas tree shots were especially telling. Individual light points stayed sharp instead of merging into a glow. Now here's how I see it. The OnePlus 15R is the most grown-up R series phone OnePlus has made. It's a phone for people who value consistency over spectacle. It quietly fixes the things that 13R struggled with, especially dynamic range, sustained performance, and outdoor usability. If you want compact power and telephoto zoom capability, the 13S still exists and it's very good at what it does. If you want the best value with hardware versatility, the 13R still holds its ground. But if you want the most balanced OnePlus experience right now with the best camera processing of the three, a noticeably brighter display, and a meaningful performance and gaming upgrade, the 15R finally feels like the R series done right. As always, I'm curious what you'll think. Would you pick this over its rivals at this price, or would you go in a different direction altogether? Let me know in the comments, and thank you for watching.